Hello, welcome to Vlogmas Day 3. I have been asked to talk about cognitive dissonance. Oh, see, that's what happened with the last one. I stuck to that. Yeah. And it's kind of a big topic. So I think I'm going to do a short series on it. Sorry if that's a little annoying. So this first video, basically I'm going to go over what it is, how it works. In a nutshell, cognitive dissonance is when what you're thinking and believing is counter to reality. In a nutshell, that's what it is. So you could have, I see, the problem is I'm going to say something at some point. Somebody's going to be like, wait, but that's the truth. For example, flat earth people. They've seen the pictures. They, I don't know. Maybe if they're stuck out in the middle of a continent somewhere, they've never seen an ocean. But come on, if you've seen an ocean, then you have seen something that has to do with the curve of the earth. Do you know what I mean? However, the belief that the world is flat for whatever reason, I'm taking this as what I think of as an outrageous example, and I'm really sorry if it's not as outrageous as I think it is. Let's put it that way. Let's go like that. So the problem with a cognitive dissonance is that you believe wholeheartedly, 100%, whatever these thoughts are that you're having. Now, if you get somebody, another example is people with positive cognitive dissonance who, think they're the greatest thing to walk the earth. Or it doesn't even have to be that much. It can be somebody who just thinks they're slightly better than average. Sometimes is a sign of cognitive dissonance. Because, not the whole world can't be better than average, right? So I hope that covers basic examples. How that works in sort of the real world is if you have an opinion about yourself, it could be absolutely accurate, and it could be completely have nothing to do with reality. And when you're in the throes of cognitive dissonance, you believe what you think, and that's it. So if you think really well about yourself and it has no basis in reality, it doesn't matter. You are going to believe that wholly and completely, that effectively you're kind of like God's gift, and vice versa. The vice versa part, I'm going to talk about, just saying it right now, I'm going to talk about in a specific video unto itself, talking about people with avoidant personality disorder and how their self-perception and self-esteem is affected by cognitive dissonance, which is, I think, really what the point of this request was to get into. And I'm sorry that I'm pushing it back, but that's a big part of having avoidant personality disorder. So I really wanted to sort of focus on that separately. So how it works is, in a nutshell, you trick yourself into believing whatever it is that the dissonance is saying to you. So, you know, I was double checking to make sure. I double check. I don't know if you guys realize. I double check to make sure that what I'm talking about is actually correct. Because yes, I've been in therapy forever, and all sorts of other things like that. But I am not in any way, shape, or form a professional, and two, I can just be misunderstanding these concepts that I'm trying to talk about, which would be an example of cognitive dissonance, where I think I know what I'm talking about, and I actually have no idea. But one of the biggest examples of cognitive dissonance, and I'm really sorry if this is really basic and is repetitive, again, I'll get there, and I'll talk about something that'll make a little bit more specific sense to somebody with avoidance, now I can't even remember what they call it. Confirmation bias, I think is the term. This is when you, instead of looking for information to either prove or deny something, you ignore all the information that would be opposing whatever the thought is that you're having, and all you pay attention to are the sort of pros to back up what it is that you're talking about, and what it is that you believe. So ignoring reality, even if it's sort of like in your face, is definitely part of what we're talking about here. I think this is on the roof. Wait a second. Remember, I mean, obviously this is moon and star. Roof. And I think that's reindeer. Which would mean this should go somewhere around here, maybe. There we go. Yes, I am trying to work out the puzzle while I'm doing this. And I don't know if it's really annoying to people. But, well, okay, so personally, my confirmation bias is that I don't really appreciate seeing myself on camera, to say the least. That's not really a confirmation bias, but that's definitely the cognitive dissonance. But it sort of is, because what I do is I will make a video and I'll say, well, it's horrible for this reason and that reason and the other reason, and then ignore anything that does not agree with that thought, that everything I do is horrible, and there we go. So, boom, it's horrible, whether or not it actually is. I assume this goes here somewhere. Maybe up here. Maybe it's up here. Okay, whatever. Back to the topic that I'm trying to avoid talking about or something. I don't know. So if you are in the throes of cognitive dissonance, how you know is that you have a pretty strong sense of discomfort about what you're thinking. And I know that sounds really basic too. But there will be a part of you that is going to be going, yeah, no, wait a second. No, this is not right. And you will know that what you're thinking is not quite accurate. And yet, you'll basically force yourself to continue to think it. And it is, again, almost everything that you do when it comes to this sort of thing is a protection. Still don't even know. I don't if I'm getting this on camera because I don't have it marked. So you will try to protect yourself by believing something that is completely inaccurate in order to keep yourself from stress or anything else to that matter. Which again, I mean, it sounds sort of like duh basic, but you know, a lot of things really are kind of basic, and until you really paid attention to yourself and your reaction, oh, that's not right. You don't notice it. Still, there we go. So what you should look for is basically, now this is the thing. I mean, when I'm talking about this, for me, I'm like, yeah, this is my everyday. Why is this even a question? Why wouldn't anybody even think that it could be anything but this is what it is? I've described it before, and again, I said I was going to talk about avoidance separately. We'll see if I actually pull that off. Is you can absolutely feel yourself with this sort of knocking in the back of your head saying, wait, but, wait, but, wait, but what about this other thing? Wait, but. And so there's a certain amount of pressure within yourself to keep up whatever the thought is that you're trying to have. So it takes a certain amount of effort to not sort of give in to the reality, which is right there outside of your existence. Now, the way that people do this, the reason why people are even able to do this is because there is so much of our world that we know for a fact has sort of multiple interpretations. Let's call it that. And so we know that you could have an opinion and somebody else could have an opinion about something. They could both be completely accurate at the exact same time. You know that they're, okay, let's come up with something really basic. Like for instance, if you're driving, okay, well, I don't know, not everybody drives, but I think most people have been in a car. You understand that you coming up to a stop sign is a perspective, and somebody coming up 90 degrees to the same stop sign is a different perspective, and you know that, you can conceptualize that that's happening in the real world, and that you both have a different sort of, not really opinion, but kind of an opinion about what exactly this experience is that you're having at the same time. I know this is getting really hokey, I'm sorry, but this is reality. This is how we live. We know that we can have multiple perspectives of the exact same thing. And so if in our head we're thinking this one thing and there's another part of us, ooh, I screwed something. I'll have to find it. So if we're thinking something that is completely, totally wrong, and yet we can see that there's another idea that is maybe clearly more factual, but is more stressful and it's more difficult for us to accept, then we'll just say, okay, well, yeah, different perspective. That's okay. People can have a different perspective. And you sort of give yourself permission to think this thing that is completely wrong and go along with it. You know, like this. Oh, maybe it's upside down. There we go. I mean, I put that in there. It fit. It was clearly wrong, but it fit. That's basically what's going on in your head. Sometimes it's great when doing something like this. You might get a really dumb example and it pops right up for you. There. Okay, see it? So again, I think these videos I'm making with this, doing this puzzle thing, and there's a reason for it, but I'm still pretty wibbly around it, and I don't think I'm even really that sort of precise and non-rambly when I make a totally focused video, even ones, I believe it or not, I have them outlined and everything else, instead of just talking off the cuff. So I don't know if this is really not making any sense, but that's how cognitive dissonance works, is that you just believe something 100% that is not backed up by facts. And in fact, in the face of actual real facts, you will deny the facts and go with whatever the thought is in your head. So again, confirmation bias is you have an idea about something and you might get 10 bits of data about this. You will ignore the 9 that are reality, and the one thing that you can kind of interpret to keep going with this thought in your head, it's confirmed. There we go. I'm going to go with this thing that's wrong. That is a really basic version of cognitive dissonance. So as an overview, this video kind of sucked, I'm sure. I think they all suck. Usually I make videos and I say, oh, I look horrible. I'm not on camera. So I'm saying the video sucks. Oh, it's a terrible habit. But again, maybe not. It's cognitive dissonance. Maybe it's confirmation bias that I am thinking, oh, it must be terrible because it's a video that I made and it's inconsistent and it's wobbly and it's rambly and it's all over the place. But again, that's why I wanted to break these up. So this is my idea of what a basic cognitive dissonance is. So I'm going to make another video to talk about how it applies specifically to avoidant personality disorder and your basically self-impression and self-esteem. And I'm also going to talk about sort of a way to really recognize it within yourself and what you're supposed to do to break it up and think differently. For me, I have pretty much no problem with sort of accepting reality when it comes to stuff that's not about myself. And when it comes to stuff about myself, I can't, wrap my head around reality in any way, shape, or form. I've got a negative bias, and it's permanent, and that is part of avoidant personality disorder. And as a matter of fact, if I get any sort of like data that would sort of state that what I'm doing is, not as negative as possible, I will twist it around until I've actually used this data point disproving in reality, factually, the opposite of what I'm thinking. I will find a way to make it actually back up what I'm thinking. And that is cognitive dissonance. But again, I'm thinking 2 more videos on the topic. Sorry if that's terribly boring and if I'm too wibbly wobbly all over the place. But that's what's coming up. Have a nice day.